as the most disturbingly efficient murderer in the animal kingdom. Here, we see a robin rip a worm out of the ground with no moral hesitation whatsoever. This atrocity is but one in a series of cold-blooded murders this bird will commit in a single day. Although feces-fueled worms are themselves one of the most disgusting of all animals, the robin's cruelty remains indefensible. Some apologists might argue that robins need to eat worms to survive, but worms are capable of regeneration. So robins could satiate themselves on fractions of individual worms and leave the rest. But it does not. Unequivocal evidence of the robin's bloodlust.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, and we will allow you to take control of the airwaves here. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. All you have to do is dial the toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also should now have back operational our Discord call-in lines, which were down last night due to some technical difficulties. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
All right. So, Rich, it was this weekend that we were both at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. There was an amazing auction that took place. I don't know if you saw any of it, but...
I saw some of it. I wasn't there because I'm, I'm Pope indigent.
You got people to talk to. It's a great event. Yeah. But the auction went on for 2 hours. The point of it was to free Ross, or at least to help free Ross. And, of course, we're talking about Ross Ulbricht, who is the person who's sitting in a prison cell in a federal, I think it's been a maximum security. I've heard they may be transferring him to a lesser security level. But he's been sitting in there for, as he will put it here in an article that he wrote, over 2,000 days, and he has the rest of his life to sit in this prison cell for the horrific crime of creating a website.
Yeah, that absolutely amazing.
That's what he did.
Did that to him.
He wrote a website. You know, the website happened to be a free marketplace where people could sell drugs, for instance. I mean, it wasn't everything that could be sold there. There were certain products that were prohibited, like poison and child pornography. There were no weapons on the site either. So, it wasn't a totally free market, but it was mostly, things could be sold there that you can't find at your Amazon selection or at Walmart. And we've spent a lot of time on Free Talk Live talking about Ross. We've interviewed his mother, Lynn Ulbricht, who was one of the speakers at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. The auction that I mentioned brought in over $10,000 in 2 hours' time. So it was a pretty big deal, I think. I mean, I don't know what auctions tend to bring in, but 10 grand seemed to be really good for what was a relatively small, auction in the middle of the woods in New Hampshire. I thought $10,000 was really, really good.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So, and not the whole campground wasn't at the auction. As you pointed out, you only maybe stopped in a couple of times. So not everybody saw this auction. So it was really probably, a fraction of the campground that even participated in it. But it was a good fraction. There was a good amount of people that came, and there was a historic auctioning of cannabis that actually happened at the very end, or alleged cannabis at the end of the auction. We'll talk more about that once the video of that auction is available. I haven't had a chance yet. I've been dealing with technical difficulties since getting back from the campground. But, Rich, what I came across today from Medium.com, and I don't know if you already saw this, Ross Ulbricht has written a blog post.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you may be aware that he's had a Twitter for a little while where he'll be on the phone with somebody who has access to this Twitter account, and he can just sort of verbally tell them what to tweet out on his behalf. So Ross is active on social media, through a proxy. In this case, this was a handwritten letter, and I'm not sure to whom it was written, but it is being published at medium.com. And I'll, of course, share that link on our social media over at telegram.freetalklive.com, toot.freetalklive.com, and also twitter.freetalklive.com here in a few moments. But I wanted to share from Ross Ulbricht in an article titled, "Who Deserves This?" He writes, I was put in handcuffs for the first time when I was 29 years old. I was labeled a prisoner that day and have spent 2,096 days and nights in the captivity of the U.S. federal government. I'm still in prison, condemned to die here, with a life sentence and no parole. Prison is nothing if not boring, so I've had many hours to think about all sorts of things, including who, if anyone, really belongs here. After my arrest, the prosecution and media went to great lengths to demonize me to the public and later to my jury at my trial. That hurt. I used to believe I didn't care what people thought of me, that my sense of worth was intrinsic and objective, but that was when I was generally liked. Suddenly, countless people were meeting a straw man, not me at all, but a dangerous criminal. Remember, they accused him at one point of committing murder for hire.
Or trying to contract a murder for hire. I don't think that they didn't claim that there were any actual deaths, right?
That's
he
correct.
Tried to hire somebody, right?
And there's no real evidence that he tried to do anything of that sort. But that didn't stop them from claiming that and dragging his name through the mud, even so much as to bring it up during trial, despite the fact that he has not been charged or convicted or put on trial. Those charges, I believe, were dropped with prejudice, if I recall correctly. They never were truly leveled at him in any way, shape, or form. That's because it's BS, the idea that he had ordered anybody's death. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. The evidence is actually better that one of the corrupt FBI agents did those, either to frame Ross or because they legitimately wanted somebody killed.
The FBI agents who had full access, at least one of them, to the back end of the Silk Road and to the Dread Pirate Roberts account.
Yeah, exactly. With those guys on the case, I don't know. I don't understand how he could have been convicted of anything.
It's crazy. They didn't allow that the evidence about the corrupt officers to be presented to the jury.
I mean, imagine if they'd been cross-examined on, did you steal a bunch of money from this guy that you're prosecuting? Did you or did you not try to have people killed in his name and then try to prosecute him for it? That's really that sort of question should be answered.
Well, a lot of the things that ended up sending him to prison were based on so-called evidence that they collected from his laptop. That he was sitting on when they arrested him in San Francisco in a library at the time, and he didn't have enough of a chance to close the laptop or to turn it off or whatever to stop them from getting into it. And they claim they found a log. Well, how are we supposed to know that log was actually originally there? How are we supposed to know anything about the chain of evidence as far as, how did it get into the Fed's hands? Did they manipulate the evidence on his computer? If they're willing to steal his Bitcoin, there's a good chance that they're willing to do anything that it takes to get a conviction.
Yeah. And, my thoughts on the FBI are not very high. I mean, before they started trying to frame Trump for the Russian collusion, I watched FBI agent Phil Christiana of the Joint Terrorism Task Force perjure himself in a New Hampshire court. And the interesting thing is he was supposed to be a terrorism expert, a bomb expert. Well, the day that he went to court to perjure himself in my trial was, as I recall, the day after the Boston Marathon bombing. So the FBI was so concerned about the American people that they needed to put a pot dealer away instead of worrying about the Boston Marathon bombing.
That's right. And that agent has been sniffing around the Free State Project for years beyond when he first came after you. He was trying to find out about Dave Ridley and some of the earliest Keen movers as far back as 2005, which was before I even moved here. So, I mean, they've had a high interest in the various things that have gone on here.
Yeah, the FBI basically exists to be a political goon squad as far as I can tell.
So back to Ross, he says that it hurt having these lies told about him. He says that it's easier to condemn a villain, so it had to appear that I deserve this. This is a punishment, after all, and would be unfair otherwise. A sense of fairness is fundamental to our nature. It's part of the glue that keeps civilization together. It's the gut check for justice. Unfairness, he says, sparks indignation and a desire to right the wrong, but indignation can go too far. It has a dark side called vengeance, and there are two sides of the same coin. The mind bent on revenge seeks to balance the scales, pain for pain. He deserves what he gets, it urges. He must pay. Instead of being a check on injustice, it becomes an excuse for it. As someone on the receiving end of this who has met hundreds of others in the same position, because again, he's in prison, he says, I'm telling you, no one deserves this. And what he's talking about is being in this federal lockup, and we'll get into more of what he has to say.
I'll tell you who I think deserves life in prison without parole, the judge who put Ross there.
Yeah. In fact, Catherine Forrest, I think was her name. More on the way. You can share your thoughts on Ross Ulbricht and the insane, violent, just awful prison system that the United States has. Free Talk Live.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. I mean, we walk around the block and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy.
DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dinovite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies,
grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it,
and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dinovite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic
And Cindy Lukasevic.
inviting you and your pets to Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20, mymagicmud.com.
I want to tell you about my favorite cryptocurrency wallet, Edge Wallet, at edge.app. Edge is the wallet I use more than any other, and that was true long before it became a sponsor of Free Talk Live. Edge Wallet allows you to buy, sell, trade, and securely hold your cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokens, Monero, Ripple, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and more. It's available for both Android and iOS, and you can download it via the Play or App Store or via Edge Wallet's website, edge.app. Secure your freedom with Edge Wallet.
Free Talk Live.
They gently kind of hang on to it or manipulate it with their mouths. The pufferfish then releases toxins that seem to intoxicate the dolphins.
He's getting high.
Apparently, there's legislation in India to consider dolphins to be non-human persons. Would dolphins be subject to arrest for getting intoxicated?
How else could they deal with this threat to the dolphins?
Obviously, there's disorderly conduct and public intoxication.
I bet they'll resist arrest, too.
Yeah, because dolphins don't really have hands. They're going to fight you, and a dolphin will rape you.
Think of the money for the prison industrial complex here. I mean, they'll have to build whole new underwater prisons for the dolphins. This could be big.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want here. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in lines. They are open for you. You can join them at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And we're sharing with you an article written by Ross Ulbricht from inside of a prison cell where he has spent over 2,000 days behind bars on what is a double life sentence plus 40 years. We'll continue with his opinion that no one deserves the punishment that he has received. Now, again, he's a nonviolent person. He did not harm another human being. He just wrote a website that the federal government didn't like. That's why they're punishing him. But he's saying no one deserves to be punished like that. And we'll continue with that discussion as well. But I do want you to know about American Financing. It is a company from which you can acquire a home loan or even refinance an existing loan that you have. And one of the key differences between American Financing and other companies is that their salespeople don't get paid on commission. So when they find you and hook you up with a mortgage, they're not getting a commission on that. They're just getting paid salary. So the idea is that would mean they're more likely to find the right mortgage for you rather than find the mortgage that gives them the biggest paycheck. So head on over to their website, which is AmericanFinancing.net. It's American Financing, NMLS 182334, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. That's phone number 888-804-0303, AmericanFinancing.net, 888-804-0303, AmericanFinancing.net. So back to Ross Ulbricht's letter here. This is published at medium.com/@Ross Ulbricht. He says, I don't claim that we don't need to keep some people separated from free society. As Solzhenitsyn famously wrote, quote, the battle line between good and evil runs through the heart of every man, unquote. Some are possessed by their dark side and can be expected to violently prey on the weak and vulnerable, like the government goons.
Yeah.
There are people like that in here, he says. That doesn't mean they deserve this or that they cannot change. It just means that humane separation is the only option until they do. But this is not humane. He says, many of my fellow prisoners have no support from the outside. Their loved ones have either died during their long stay here, abandoned them, or turned on them. All of us are cut off to some degree. We seek, even for, by the way, for those who actually want to continue visiting their loved one in prison, it is an incredibly arduous process. It's not just like you can just show up one day and waltz right in and see the person you care about. No, there's usually some sort of an approval process in advance where you have to apply in order to, and again, it's different by different states. I don't know what the federal approval process is, but like here in New Hampshire, if you want to go and see somebody at the New Hampshire State Prison, you got to apply first and be approved as a approved visitor. Then, on the appropriate day and time on which they allow visits to happen for whichever, letters of last names of inmates on certain days or however they figure it out, then you can show up at that time. Show your papers and you might be allowed to see the person you care about. Combine that with the federal government system. Unless
the jail is locked down, because a frequent
which
story
can happen at
is,
random.
I traveled hundreds of miles to see my husband or son, and then the prison was locked down, so they wouldn't let me do it.
Yep, that's right. And sorry.
Yep.
Gotta go home. Maybe you can try another day. Next week.
Yeah, you see, that's why I wasn't excited about the repeal of the death penalty in New Hampshire. Is I think, compared to life without parole, given a choice, if somebody said, "Hey, you're going to do life without parole, or we're going to take you out behind the chemical shed and shoot you," my answer would be, I would rather be shot behind the chemical shed. And
but the idea is,
although I mean, I don't. The thing is, the state is unreliable, so I don't necessarily like the idea of them unilaterally making that choice. But I think that should definitely be an option for prisoners. If you're just sick of it, obviously society has no use for you. So we will humanely put you out of your misery.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, the ability for one to take one's own life should be something that one is allowed to do. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's different than abolishing the death penalty, which, as you pointed out, the government screws things up. So then you've got innocent people sitting on death row.
I guess my problem with abolishing the death penalty was more of a logical one, where why would you abolish the more humane punishment when you can abolish the more barbaric punishment of subjecting somebody to a long, drawn-out 40-year death where there's literally nothing in their future except hatred and degradation.
Well, I think that it would be wonderful if New Hampshire became an assisted suicide state.
Absolutely.
Where that can absolutely legally happen. It's not there yet, but I think that's a conversation that, state representatives ought to be having on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's also something that, that would be a good place for a libertarian church also to step in, because the theology of the Church of the Invisible Hand says that sometimes suicide is the right thing to do. And so, therefore, now, of course, that's very subjective. We're not going to tell you should do it, but
sure, and it's always subjective.
You should do it.
Yeah, on the part of the person who wants to kill themselves, it's certainly subjective, because, I'm sure a lot of people would say don't do it. You've got, all these wonderful things to live for. But that other person may not be feeling that at that time. Of course, now the argument is that they may change their mind, and that's why they shouldn't be allowed to kill themselves. Is that they'll regret it, or they would have regretted it had they, or if they try it and they fail, then they will definitely have regretted it in that case. Of course, if it's assisted, it's not as likely to fail.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, the Japanese back in the day, when someone committed honorable seppuku, there would be a second who stood behind him, and if he didn't, by the time he was at the point where he couldn't cut anymore, the second would take his head off, which was the coup de grace. Now that, although that's French, so I don't know how they came up with that, but maybe they just translated. Anyway, the
seppuku, by the way, isn't that where you're cutting your own belly open and spilling your guts out?
Yeah, seppuku's not for the faint of heart. Yeah. I would probably go with some sort of an opiate if I was going to do that. But
wasn't it like the Yojimbo or whatever, the samurais who were who would do that in some sort of shame?
Yeah, well, the samurai would do that as atonement for a major failure. They would sometimes, losing a battle, the commander would commit seppuku if he had, especially if it was his error which lost the battle specifically.
So back to Ross Ulbricht in his prison cell. He says that he believes this is not humane. He says prisoners there don't have support. Many of their loved ones are dead, or they have rejected them and or turned on them. He says, all of us are cut off to some degree. We seek mental escapes of every kind, some constructive, others destructive, to stave off confronting the abject horror of our situation. Violence is common, he says, and the tension it brings is the air we breathe. We'll continue with more from Ross Ulbricht. A letter that he wrote from inside a double life prison sentence plus 40 years, all for running a website. This is Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom if you want to join us on the radio.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops. Get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may dial toll-free and join us. Take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Whether you want to talk about the federal prison system or assisted suicide, those are a couple of the topics that we've touched on here tonight, inspired by an awful story by Ross Ulbricht, who is currently experiencing the inside of the federal prison system, specifically, I believe, a Supermax prison in Colorado. With you, by the way, tonight, you've got Ian.
And nobody.
One longtime supporter of Ross Ulbricht is, of course, Roger Ver. He's the guy behind Bitcoin.com. Roger has put a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of cryptocurrency behind the effort to free Ross, which, of course, for the most part, means paying attorneys. But they've pretty much exhausted their attorneys' options at this point because their appeals failed, sadly, despite all of the rampant corruption in his case that is provable, and there are now 2 federal government goons that are sitting in a prison cell for several years as a result of their corruption, but none of that mattered to the appeals judges.
Now, how many has he fought any cases to the Supreme Court yet?
I don't think that. I guess the Supreme Court just didn't take the case. I think was, if I recall correctly,
they denied certiorari. That's how that's put.
I think that's what happened. You'll have to double check me on the history on that.
I will look it up because I think you basically get one shot as far as the Supreme Court, and that's all it does. Although there are people, especially people in prison, who have repeatedly filed writs of habeas corpus, and in theory you should always be able to file another writ of habeas corpus to say why your detention is illegal. Right. And changes in the actual makeup of the courts might mean that an appeal that loses this year wins in a decade.
Could be.
Because then all of a sudden I would expect to see very different attitudes toward drugs. I think the drug war will be acknowledged as lost within the next decade.
I hope so. It's about damn time that it be put to death.
Yeah, well, and yet again, I would like to congratulate drugs
for winning.
For winning the war on drugs. You have done the impossible, and that drugs makes you mighty.
Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations. So let's read more of this. Well, for those that are on the outside of the prison system, you don't know anybody who is in it, which there are fewer and fewer people in America these days that actually don't know a prisoner, or at least somebody who spent some sort of time behind bars. Simply because things like the war on drugs and other non-violent, victimless so-called crimes have put such a large portion of the American population behind bars at some point in their life.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. We've gone from the so-called land of the free, which was only true within limited parameters ever, because obviously minorities were never free. But at least for white people at one time, we were the land of the free. And instead of making America great for everybody, it sounds like we're moving to a situation where everybody is more or less a slave, or at least living like a sinner in the hands of an angry God, as Jonathan Edwards put it, just waiting to be dropped into the prison system.
Right. And of course, once you're in the prison system, then you're a real slave at that point, because if you don't do what you're told, you go to solitary, and that's basically torture. So you'll do what you're told.
Yeah, and not just that, even if you do get out, you're no longer considered a full human. You're no longer
a felon now.
Yeah, you're no longer considered to have the right to keep and bear arms, the right to defend yourself.
Mark, who's our co-host on some of the nights on this show, he wasn't even allowed to go to Japan. He couldn't even get into the country.
Right,
they booted him right back out as soon as he flew there. Didn't matter that he'd had 20 plus years behind him of making a family and a respectable life for himself. Because he spent more than a year in prison, he just wasn't allowed in.
Yeah. Now, was he denied a visa, or did he not apply?
You don't need a visa in order to go to Japan.
Well, normally I know that normally you don't need a visa. The thing that I was wondering about, and I wonder this for my own situation too, like, could I, if I had wanted to go to Japan,
you did a year,
contacted?
So
I
you
did
might
a
get
year.
in.
But regardless of the action of the vagaries of the rules of Japan in particular, let's say I wanted to go to Sweden or Jambuca, where we don't know what the rules are, is there some way that I could contact the Swedish people and say, well, I know that Americans don't usually need visas, but I'm a felon, so I just want to know in advance if you're going to let me in?
Rich, this is Mark in the studio. My answer to that is the government's answer to everything is no. So why would you ever ask them anything?
Well, and it is in general easier to get forgiveness than to get permission. I guess the thing is, I guess it would come down to how much do I want to bet in terms of time and money and plane tickets that I'm going to get in under the wire. And so I guess if I was in a position where I was depending for entrance into the country on they're missing something that I knew to be true, then I probably wouldn't place that bet.
So what happened for me in Japan was specifically they had put in a new fingerprint scanning device in January of that year. So they had just started a new thing where they're directly piped into the FBI. My theory was...
The Japanese version of the FBI or the actual American FBI?
The Federal Bureau of Investigations, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation.
They're sharing a database.
Are they Interpol now? Why would they not be connected to Interpol instead of the American FBI? That's bizarre.
I have no answers for you, but I can tell you that's what they said.
Okay. And I believe it's true.
I don't know what's true, but I can, what I, up to this point, in life, they didn't have this big computer in the sky that was going to tell them one thing or the other. So I'm just not going to tell them the information they want to know.
Right.
Have you ever been convicted of felony? No.
Okay.
So I just say no.
I forgot that one.
Well, that's what I do. I'm sorry. I was sentenced as a youthful offender. Just because these people ask a question doesn't mean they deserve a honest answer. Do you? Hey, boy, you got any slaves in your barn? No, I don't, is the answer. I don't keep runaway slaves in the barn.
Oh, okay. You were talking about runaway slaves. I was thinking, wait a minute, you're lying to a guy enforcing anti-slavery laws? But no, you were talking about a guy enforcing pro-slavery laws.
Sorry, imaginary. This is quite literally a problem the Quakers dealt with as they were part of the Underground Railroad trying to get escaped slaves to freedom, is that they had to deal. These were people who were fastidiously honest, and then a slaver would come along and say, hey, did such and such happen? And they would have to determine whether or not they wanted to tell the truth. And many of them came to the conclusion that lying was the greater truth, and others came to the conclusion that they must tell the truth because they have been asked. And that's just how some people are. My answer is no, I don't have to tell you. Just because you asked doesn't mean I have to tell you the truth. Yeah. And I was sentenced as a youthful offender, which means that I can keep that information to myself if I wish.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Okay.
But they decided not.
Yeah, that's interesting. Generally, my view, I don't generally lie to cops, partially just because that's a separate charge. Yep. I generally just don't talk to them, I don't answer questions.
But in the case of a border
go?
patrol, you're in a different situation, right? So that is usually the way to handle the police, is to not answer their questions, or specifically actually let them know you're not answering questions, because now there's this stupid ruling by the Supreme Court in the U.S. that basically says you have to assert your right to remain silent. So you can just tell the police, I don't answer questions. But that's in a typical police contact or pullover situation. When you're at a border checkpoint, you basically are obligated to answer questions about your travel. Now, whether you have to answer questions...
If you want to get into the country, you certainly are.
Now, whether you have to answer questions about other things they want to know about, I would say, no, you do not have to answer those questions. I'm not an attorney. This isn't legal advice. But that's my understanding, is when you're crossing the border, there's sort of their jurisdiction of questioning has to do with, well, how long are you going to stay? Where are you going to stay? That kind of stuff.
Although this depends on the country, because in many countries... You never have the right to remain silent.
That's a good point.
That's an American thing.
Yeah, that's true.
At least it's not, or at least that right is not respected all the time.
This is not legal advice, and that's a great point. Other jurisdictions, other gangs around the world may act very differently. There's more coming up here in moments. 855, 450, free like freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Finally, there's a way for you to get into the blockchain, the hottest financial sector without all the speculation. Now, enjoy a 27% annualized payment each month without the ups and downs of Bitcoin. Seen on programs broadcast on Fox Business News, blockchain data centers offer an equipment leasing program in the explosive digital asset marketplace. Inspired by entrepreneurs who sold picks and shovels during the gold rush, the money is in the mining equipment used to manufacture dozens of critical digital assets. Not a security IPO or note, blockchain data centers have approved proven turnkey equipment sale leaseback program with a 27% annualized lease payment deposited into your bank account each month. Don't miss this one. Stake your claim today. Call 800-600-3388. That's 800-600-3388. These valuable lease contracts won't last long. Call now. 800-600-3388. 800-600-3388. Equipment offer poses a financial risk to owners. Consult with financial professionals before purchasing. Not an offer to buy or sell a security which requires an offering document.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISSparis.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free, bring up what you want. Our number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And with you, by the way, in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And nobody.
We are sharing with you the Medium.com post by Ross Ulbricht. It was a handwritten letter, but somebody has taken the time to transcribe it here for us into text form. He is writing about what it's like to be in a federal prison and who, if anyone, actually belongs there. And his conclusion so far is that no one, not even the violent people, the people who continue to remain a danger to society, he says nobody should be in this facility, and the ones that he's been staying in, these maximum security prisons. I'm going to continue with his posts here. He points out that violence is common in prison, and the tension it brings is the air we breathe. Forcing someone to spend years or decades continuously like this, waking up to it every single morning, is cruel. If you disagree, he says, I'll prove it to you. Imagine the worst torture you can think of that doesn't leave the victim disabled. Something you can't deny is cruel. Burning, flogging, take your pick. If the victims themselves would prefer this torture to imprisonment, the inescapable conclusion is that prison is worse, even more cruel, I and every prisoner I have asked would prefer any amount of pain and cruelty for a limited duration to the years and decades we are forced to spend here. Spirits crushed, hope abandoned, relegated to irrelevance. No one deserves this, he says, even if they have to here for the sake of others' safety, or even if I think he left out a word, even if they have to be here for the sake of others' safety. Certainly, the many nonviolent drug offenders growing old in here do not deserve this. Pain does not heal pain. A lost soul is not redeemed in a cage. Vengeance and cruelty are not aspects of our nature to be honored and institutionalized. They're base and destructive. They hurt all parties. Our families and communities are hurting. Humanity is hurting. The pain of your fellow human being is your pain too, even though it's locked away in remote prisons. Ross Ulbricht writes from prison, he says, we can do better. We have the potential to rise above this darkness, to be proud of how humanely we treat prisoners and how few we need to brand with that label. Instead, we hand out years, decades, and lifetimes of imprisonment to virtually every person the government targets. We keep building cells like the one I'm writing this from. Prisoners are not inventory. We're not numbers or statistics. We're human beings, and we don't deserve this.
Absolutely true. In my experience, I don't understand what they think they're going to accomplish by this, and I don't understand how they can fail to recognize that whatever it is, they're not accomplishing.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the typical responses, Rich, would be, well, we need to deter crime. And so, therefore, people know that prison's really bad. And so that is a reason why they will stay on the up and up and they won't commit crimes because they don't want to go to prison.
See, if some pig said that to me, my response would be, great, let's deter crime and throw your ass in there.
Oh, see, it's not a crime when they do it.
Yeah, see,
then it's just a legal taking or a legal killing or a legal, fill in the blank.
Right. Yeah. See, the mafia approves of the crimes committed by the mafia too.
That's right, and they run the prisons.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, Bitcoin.com, longtime supporter, I mentioned this earlier but didn't get into it, of Ross Ulbricht, and it is, of course, a great place to go and learn about cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin Cash. And they just recently launched, just a few weeks ago at this point, I think maybe 20-ish days back, they launched local.bitcoin.com. It is an easy way to sell or purchase Bitcoin Cash on a website from other individuals. So you can use dozens of payment methods: PayPal, Venmo, bank deposits, remittances, cash in person, and more. And importantly, it's way more private than any other platform out there that's like it. There's an encrypted chat between you and your buyer or seller. So if you're buying or selling, whoever it is you're selling or buying with, the chat's encrypted. The site's administrators can't read your discussion unless you grant them access to do so. Say, for instance, you had a dispute and you need an arbitrator to come in. But by default, it's completely encrypted. Plus, the site doesn't hold your cryptocurrency. It doesn't hold your Bitcoin Cash. You have access to a wallet that you have the keys for that you can sort of buy and sell out of. But the site doesn't hold the funds, which means they're not a money transmitter or whatever arbitrary terms the governments would like to apply to them. So they're not doing know your customer requirements. They're not asking for ID from any of their sellers or buyers from the site, whereas other sites that are like this one, they all want to know who you are. They want to have your ID on file. Not so at local.bitcoin.com. So your identity is protected from the site, and your conversations are protected from the site. So that means if they get a subpoena or whatever from the government, they can't turn anything over to them. They have no chat logs. It's all encrypted. They don't have the coin on their servers. They can't seize it. So it's a pretty smart system.
The best way to avoid giving information to the government is don't have it.
Don't have it available at all. And they're doing a great job of helping you do that and helping you buy and sell Bitcoin Cash at local.bitcoin.com. So once again, more here. There's nothing more to read from Ross Ulbricht, but there's obviously a lot to say about it. This idea that if you just punish people enough, they will stop acting out. And I think that's one of the things that you're referring to here, that it hasn't worked. For all the draconian punishments that we've seen dealt out in things like the war on drugs or in other areas of so-called criminal behavior, whether it's prostitution or you name it, whatever the punishments have been, haven't stopped people from doing those things.
Yeah, I mean, and it transforms what is arguably a vice into a crime, and the problem with that is, all of a sudden, once you turn a vice into a crime, you create victims.
The victim of the person who has the vice by the government. The government victimizing them.
Exactly. They criminalize, and their own laws should forbid this. The Ninth Amendment says that the enumeration of in this Constitution of certain rights shall not be held to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And that means a couple of things. The first is our rights don't come from the Constitution.
It's an important distinction.
Exactly. We retain those rights. And the other thing is that we do have basic rights that are not enumerated in the Constitution, and some of those are in the Declaration of Independence.
The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Exactly. Now, what are you doing when you get high? You're pursuing happiness. Exactly. So that is an enumerated right. It was well known at the time that the Constitution was written by the people who wrote the Constitution.
And some of those people had marijuana grow operations.
Oh yeah, they loved. I mean, they didn't call it marijuana; they called it hemp.
Sure, marijuana is a Mexican slang term.
Yeah, exactly. It got introduced into America actually when they started the war on drugs, because they took advantage of anti-Mexican racism in order to push that through.
Correct. So, there's a long sordid history behind the insanity of the war on drugs, but the reality of it today is drugs are as available as they've ever been. They're as affordable and in many ways as they've ever been. The competition, it does exist to some extent in the black marketplace, and the people in the black market have managed to bring their drugs to marketplace for decades upon decades without, every now and then the cops can make a bust here and there, but I mean, we're talking about drops in the bucket as far as the total number of, the volume of cocaine or, marijuana or whatever item we're talking about moving around.
You take any tyrannous government, no matter how bad it is, the old Soviet Union, for example, they had a severe drug problem going on, and they had absolutely no concept of individual rights. They had no constitution holding the government back and tying its hands on enforcement. So if they couldn't keep drugs out of their totalitarian state, how can the U.S. government expect to keep drugs out of its territory? My God, even in federal prisons, the one thing that Ross can get in there, he can't get a girl, he can't get a cigarette, but I'll bet you $1 he can get some heroin if he wants it.
I bet if he's willing to pay 10 times the street price, because that's what I've heard it goes for. I've heard that drugs are really inflated in their price in bars.
They certainly are in county.
There's more on the way here. That's because there's a lot of risk involved in getting them in there, but they get them in. 855-450-3733, probably by putting them where the sun don't shine, but you don't want to think about that when you're buying it. 855-450-FREE, like freedom. You can share your thoughts on Free Talk Live.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,409, silver at $15.24, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,812. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, in a decision that voting rights advocates warned would open the floodgates for even more extreme and undemocratic redistricting than what is already in place throughout the nation, the Supreme Court effectively condoned partisan gerrymandering on Thursday by ruling that the practice is beyond its constitutional reach. The Mind Unleashed reports the ruling was 5-4 along party lines, with conservative Chief Justice John Roberts writing the majority opinion. Slate legal journalist Mark Joseph Stern tweeted Thursday that the High Court's ruling is the, quote, nightmare scenario for voting rights advocates, end quote. Frida Levinson, legal director at ACLU of Ohio, said the Supreme Court's ruling will allow the practice of gerrymandering to continue, to flourish, and to evade review by the judicial system, and leaves redistricting in the hands of those who will continue to abuse their awesome power whenever they can to defeat the will of the voters. In a scathing dissent, liberal Justice Alina Kagan accused the High Court's 5 conservative judges of abdicating their constitutional duties, quote, just when the courts across the country, including those below, have coalesced around manageable judicial standards to resolve partisan gerrymandering claims, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Twitter, on Thursday, announced it would suppress President Trump's tweets going into the 2020 election by downranking those which violate their rules via algorithms. Offensive material from the President of the United States will also receive a label that applies to all verified political candidates and government officials with over 100,000 followers. According to the Washington Post, before users can view the language in newly flagged tweets, they will need to click on a screen that says the Twitter rules about abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain available. The Mind Unleashed reports Twitter will deprioritize the labeled tweets so they would be seen by fewer people, which adds that the policy will go into effect immediately and will not apply to other influencers and leaders. It's also not retroactive. A Brazilian Air Force pilot who was one of the crew members on their way to serve as the advance guard for Brazil President Bolsonaro during the forthcoming G20 summit in Osaka, was arrested during a stopover in Seville en route to Japan after Spanish customs officers discovered enough cocaine on him to fuel a small Wall Street bank's party for a month, in what has become an international embarrassment for Bolsonaro, who is known as Brazil's Trump and also the country's self-professed law and order president. The Mind Unleashed reports the 38-year-old airman appeared in court Wednesday on charges of drug trafficking after Spanish officials discovered 37 packets of cocaine weighing a total of 39 kilos in baggage. Officers from Spain's Guardia Civil took the crew member into custody. And a police spokesman in Seville said the whole bag was filled with drugs. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
The total loser's corpse contained no traces of drugs or alcohol, and a superstitious Delta Airlines adds busty mermaids to its plane noses. My friend, you look like you are in need of the world's finest internet news summaries. Please come in and warm yourself by the fire of knowledge. This is the Onion Week in Review. A new law passed in Colorado this week will allow residents with a doctor's prescription to purchase medicinal fireworks, saying that those in need of stargazers, firecrackers, and Galleria highlights now need only obtain a doctor's prescription. State officials expressed hope that the law would ease the suffering of those in need of huge, dazzling explosions. And in this week's op-ed pages, a man notes that, like it or not, we all die, then get dug up and molested. In other news, white male privilege is squandered on a job at Best Buy, and a local TCBY has missed the past 2 logo changes. Well, that's it for now. Goodbyes are bittersweet, my love, so I'll only tell you, for more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Feel free to hop into one of those if you want to sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And, of course, you can bring up anything that you want. We did spend the first hour talking about the issues raised in Russell Ulbricht's letter, his most recent letter from prison. We're not sure to whom it was written, but it was definitely, maybe he intended it as a blog post. It ended up on medium.com/@Russ Ulbricht, and I've linked to it on our social media. So if you want to check that out and share it around, I think it's important for people to, at the very least, hear from somebody who's on the inside of a prison, even though I'm sure a lot of people in the listening audience who are kind of that law enforcement crackdown mentality, you got to punish them harder to make them stop committing crimes. The people who have that mentality.
The people who will be the first against the wall when the revolution comes.
Sure. The people, though, who have that, you do whatever you want to them, they're criminals kind of mentality, it's convenient for them to not consider them as human beings. It's convenient to ignore their humanity and treat them as though they're somehow subhuman and they don't deserve to be treated somewhat decently.
And that is the first step to war. When you start dehumanizing large groups of people, that is the necessary condition to going to war with that group of people.
Well, it is a war on drugs, but the drugs don't care if they get confiscated and put in an incinerator. But
they probably don't like us very much either. Anyway, we set them on fire.
Right, but the humans that are doing this, I mean, if the purported reason behind the war on drugs, Rich Paul, is to correct people and stop them from doing drugs, because the idea is that it's somehow wrong to do that, which is a whole other question. I would say it's not wrong to alter your state of consciousness at all. It's a natural human thing. But even from the perspective of people who look down their nose at the drug user, if the idea is to stop them from doing drugs, then they've failed. They've had a complete abject failure at that, because the idea is, oh, looks like you're ruining your life with drug abuse. Now we're going to ruin your life by putting you inside a prison cell where there's no way you could possibly be a productive human being and make a better life for yourself or your family or whatever.
Yeah, and from the point of view of somebody who spent 22 years working with addicts, I mean, for one thing, there is absolutely nothing you can do that will reinforce somebody's drug addiction for them than cutting them off from people. Because as there's a great TED Talk called "Everything You Think You Know About Addiction Is Wrong." And I think it's absolutely true. And it's based on the rat experiments that we've discussed before, where rats in solitary confinement will use opiates or cocaine or whatever they're presented with
when given
in
the
the
opportunity.
Addictive range will use it until they die. Okay, but
to escape.
Exactly. But rats that are in a healthy rat environment, the experimental environment was called Rat Park, and it was full of rat toys and other rats to play with and have sex with and connect with. Well, the rats who had access to heroin or cocaine in Rat Park, they didn't die. They didn't even care about that stuff. They were too busy being happy rats.
Exactly.
It wasn't the presence of the drug itself is not sufficient to create the desire to escape from your existence.
Right.
And that's what drug addiction is about. And that desire to escape your existence exists before the use of drugs.
And so they treat drug addicts as though they're criminals, taking them and putting them into a prison cell, making it so they then have to, tote around this felon label in a lot of cases for the rest of their lives, which limits their opportunities.
I can't even drive an Uber.
Right.
Because I'm too dangerous. I sold, some
weed.
Flowers. I'm an undocumented florist.
It's true. And also, I couldn't even drive Lyft, and I don't even have a felony on my record.
Oh, did they say what it was for?
No, but it was. I didn't pass the background check, so it must have been for misdemeanor since I don't have a felony.
I would think so, depending on what else your background check turns up. But yeah, that's.
So this is what happens: is people who have an issue, who may need help at some point. They may not be ready for it at that point when they get arrested, but they could have probably at some point reached out and used help. But they're not going to get any help like that while they're behind bars.
They might get therapy, but the trauma that's being imposed on them by separating them from human society is doing way more damage than any good that therapy while undergoing torture could possibly do.
Yeah, let's take these people out of their life, many of whom probably had a job. They were probably trying, to earn some income to, at the very least, support their drug habits. But they were doing something somewhat productive, and just pluck them right out of that life, drop them in this prison cell over here, and then force all the other productive people to have to keep them alive, to have to give them 3 hots and a cot.
Yeah, it's the only people who benefit from this system are the industries that are protected by it. And make no mistake, this is protectionism. This is about taking away the competition to the poisonous drugs that are produced by big pharma. And they don't want you smoking weed, because if you smoke weed, you're not going to be taking their Provigil and their tricyclic antidepressants. Whereas I would say I don't want you doing that, because all of the people, for example, who have engaged in school shootings have been on big pharma drugs, big pharma psychiatric drugs. They are way more dangerous than weed could ever dream of being.
And not to mention that we found that cannabis and CBD, for instance, which is one of the active chemicals in the cannabis plant, is incredibly helpful for so many different maladies. There are people who swear by this stuff, and finally, after however many decades, it's now available in many places to actually purchase. And of course, they have to constantly mention that you can't get high off of it, because there's this mentality that the idea that altering your state of consciousness is somehow undesirable, that it's somehow subhuman, that it's beneath good people, that there's all this baggage that's associated with it, and nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, if you look at the sort of the natural world, you can find plenty of examples of the beasts out there, the animals getting high. They'll eat flowers off of certain plants, marijuana plants, for instance. Deer have been known to do that. The mushrooms. Animals will also eat fermented fruits.
Dolphins suck on puffer fishes to get high.
Poison.
They're poison to us, but apparently it's just enough poison to them to give them to give them a buzz.
Have you seen that video?
I have.
Yeah,
I have.
Good. It's pretty interesting.
It really is.
I think that was actually from a BBC documentary called Dolphins Eye on the Pod, where because I actually watched the whole thing. When I saw this story about the dolphins getting high off the pufferfish, I'm like, this looks really interesting. I've got to watch the whole thing. And it really was. What they did was they had like underwater camera devices that had been disguised as underwater creatures. So whether or not the animals could tell the difference, I suspect they probably could. But either way, the idea was they might not be able to tell the difference between a turtle swimming and a camera turtle, basically.
Did they actually go for the fake for the fake turtles, or did they just ignore the fake turtles and do their thing?
They just ignored and did their thing. So that was the idea, was that they were supposed to be caught in their natural element by these cameras that were not held by humans, at the very least.
Right.
So
not held by humans is probably a good thing, but I'm guessing that if it was just a camera sitting there, the dolphin is not going to be like, oh, I don't want to be on that camera. The FBI might see what I'm doing.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, Donald Trump apparently has spoken out now about 9/11. And Rich, you found this interesting. You wanted to share that with us. We're going to get into the story.
The title is Trump, I Think I Know Who Was Behind the 9/11 Attacks.
All right, more on the way. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. You can join us on the radio. This is Free Talk Live.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you concerned that the values that made America great are no longer taught in schools? Well, I am, so I got my son the Tuttle Twins children's book series.
My name is Jack, and I'm 11, and I just finished the Tuttle Twins series. It taught me about liberty, free market economics, and entrepreneurship.
Give all the young people in your life a chance at reason and clear thought, because they're not going to get it at school. There are 9 books in the series, and each one teaches a set of ideas that children aren't getting elsewhere. Go to TuttleTwins.com and use coupon code FTL to get 40% off. That's TuttleTwins.com.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? bankrupt governments, and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free and join us here. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. And that is, by the way, our chat service. It is super easy for you to use Discord to interact with other Free Talk Live listeners around the clock. You can head over there at discord.lrn.fm and get started over there anytime you want. It's there, and it's super easy to use, and it's free. And when you're on during the show, if you want to call in, just join one of the top 4 rooms called the On-Air Call-In Lines, and we will get you on with us. Coming up, Donald Trump is saying things about 9/11 here, nearly 20 years later. And Rich, you wanted to share that, but first let's go to your calls and thoughts. We'll start with Don calling from New Jersey, listening on, I'm not sure where you're listening, Don, but go ahead.
Hey, good evening. I was listening to your last topic on the drugs and the opioids. There was a commentary on this. Danielle Sittel, Sittel.
All right. So I've told you not to call, and I've told you before that you're not allowed to plug yourself. And so we're just going to go ahead and drop you off there. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Sorry, Rich, you were going to say something there.
Oh, not a problem. I was. I'll ask you offline what that was.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Just a guy who constantly calls to plug his YouTube channel, and we asked him to stop at one point, and he never stopped. So we told him he can't keep calling about that.
So that was him talking about himself in the third person.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
gotcha.
That's exactly what was going on there. So going on with Trump. In fact, I've got a Trump-related story coming up here as well regarding Venezuela. But, Rich, what's the story with him and 9/11?
Well, first off, the source is Zero Hedge, although I believe it's a reprint from The Independent, and it's under the byline Tyler Durden. Now,
which is a character from
it is a character from Fight Club, but I believe that he is the reposter and not the original author. But just so you have an idea of the credibility, and the title is Trump, I think I know who was behind the 9/11 attacks. President Trump says he knows who was behind the September 11th, 2001 attacks, telling ABC News' George Stephanopoulos, Iraq did not knock down the World Trade Center, adding that it was other people, and I think I know who the other people were, and you might also.
Well, now that's interesting, isn't it? Because, here we are all these years after 9/11 has occurred, and, there have been so many political changes in the United States government since then, like the Patriot Act, of course, that have been blamed on, or 9/11 was used as the excuse to bring about even more government control, even more rules and restrictions and bureaucracy, and the Department of Homeland Security, which never existed before, and all that. And it's been predicated on the claim that the government was telling the truth. Is Donald Trump saying he doesn't believe the government story?
I think he is. That's certainly how I interpret it. Although, to be accurate, the government story has been for a while that it was 19 Saudi Arabians acting at the behest of Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, who is also Saudi Arabian, not Iraqi. But I write that off to just Donald Trump being Donald Trump. He gets details wrong.
Saudi Arabia, Iraq. It's the
time.
same part of the world.
Yeah. And it's really kind of irrelevant who he's saying didn't do it. What's relevant to me is when you say, I think I know who did it, you're pretty much implying that the common belief is a false belief.
Right.
So,
I mean, he's not saying that darn, Osama bin Laden, he was the killer and, we're glad he's dead. He's saying he thinks he knows. Of course, being
Donald Trump, that could be exactly what it is. Maybe in like 3 weeks he'll come out and say, I was right. It was Osama bin Laden. But
he didn't get the news headline.
Maybe he's just behind the times.
Could be, or he hadn't heard he got killed.
But let's see what the rest of the story has to say. Nearly 3,000 people died when 19 mostly Saudi terrorists hijacked 4 passenger planes, flying them into the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, while the 4th went down in a Pennsylvania field after passengers allegedly fought back. Astonishingly, the passports of 3 hijackers were recovered, 2 at the Pennsylvania crash site and 1 from the World Trade Center grounds. Well, nobody claimed responsibility for the
attacks. Which is an amazing coincidence. I mean,
I mean, if I was going to get a bulletproof vest made, I'd have it made out of Saudi Arabian passports because nothing stops those things.
Not even, an entire building on fire apparently could.
Yeah, I mean, with hot enough to melt steel beams, but not Saudi Arabian passports. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. There are a lot of really good questions that surround the 9/11 attacks. There's no doubt about it. I think that anybody who believes the government story is just a paid shill, essentially.
I think they're either a paid shill or credulous. Yeah. There's never underestimate the power of human stupidity. Sure. But and more importantly, human denial, because humans have a strong incentive to find some set of rationalizations that lets them sleep at night.
Sure.
And that gets much harder when you recognize that everything that the government says is a lie.
Yep, exactly right. By the way, the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So please do go on.
Okay. Trump segued from his 9/11 comments into a criticism of America's military intervention in the Middle East.
Really?
Calling it the worst decision made in the history of our country, and described the region as like quicksand. It was a terrible decision to go into the Middle East.
And this is a recent interview.
Yes.
This isn't during the campaign. This is something that this article is dated recently. I think I looked at this.
Yeah, it's dated 6/17/2019.
Interesting.
By ZeroHedge.com, and they're not the first to pick up the story. So really, we should look at the Stephanopoulos interview, and I will watch that tonight. And try to get more data on it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that Trump is going back to his claims that he's not a fan of the Middle Eastern interventionism, because he certainly hasn't really put a stop to it. So talk is cheap.
I think what happens is he keeps getting hustled by his advisors, where they'll be like, oh, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this right now. Come on, people are going to die if we don't do what we say, and blah, 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 blah. And my guess is that that's what's getting happen.
Could be.
What's been happening. And one of the things that indicates that to me is that he ordered and then canceled a strike in response to an Iranian attack, an alleged Iranian attack on one of our drones. Okay? When I say
drones.
our, I mean their.
Yeah.
And so...
Meaning the government, the U.S. government.
Right. So basically, Trump's drone got shot down, and I think he got hustled into ordering a strike that would have killed people in order to retaliate for that.
But he canceled that strike?
And then thought better and said, I'm not going to kill 150 people over a robot.
I didn't know that story. That's interesting.
Yeah, he canceled the strike.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I mean, despite the attacks that have happened under Trump, is he still the most anti-war president of recent history in the last decades?
Almost certainly the most anti-war since JFK.
More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in lines over at discord.lrn.fm. And by the way, in the studio with you here tonight, it's Ian.
And nobody.
Talking about a surprising statement from Donald Trump, evoking the 9/11 attacks and claiming that he believes he knows who committed them.
Yeah, see, I've scanned the rest of the article, and it's mostly rehashes of things that we already knew about 9/11 from that point onward. It talks about the dancing Israelis and also the dancing Saudis that were arrested across the way. Actually, I don't think the Saudis were dancing, but the people who were observed celebrating the attacks in New Jersey. And it doesn't say much more about what Trump said, which is the important thing. So I think we can move on.
Yeah, well, it's still interesting talking about, some of the things Trump has done that are clearly de-escalations and sort of anti-war movements that he's been doing, not just in the example that you gave, which apparently, according to the show description from last night's show, which neither you or I were a part of, there was an article by Pat Buchanan that appears over at antiwar.com about this turnaround of Trump essentially canceling the strike against what could have been 150 potentially innocent people.
And Pat Buchanan is one of these people who does get some things right. I don't agree with everything he says. I'm certainly not a member of his tribe.
Sure,
but he gets things right. Like
frequently with foreign policy.
If we had minded our own business during World War I, there might have been no World War II. I first learned that one from him.
From Pat Buchanan, yeah. He does have some pretty good, pretty libertarian-sounding ideas when it comes to non-interventionism, at least, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's not just that recent decision by Trump. He also did talk about being a peace president when he was running for office, and even after he was elected, there were statements from him about being in favor of peace. Now, again, he has, under his presidency, there have been bombs dropped. He did continue many of the bombing campaigns under the Barack Obama administration. But if now he's starting to change how he handles those situations, that's interesting. You said off the air, I don't think you said on the air, but you believe that he is evolving.
I do believe that he's evolving, and I hope that he's evolving along the same lines that Ronald Reagan evolved along on this issue. There were a lot of things Reagan was terrible about, but he sent the Marines in, and they had the barracks bombing in Lebanon. And Reagan just pulled the troops out. He was like, and he said to, I believe, to Ron Paul, because of course they knew each other. He said, I didn't realize going in how irrational that part of the world is. And basically conceded that there was no good that we could do there. And that's the thing, is we're dealing with people where I keep using the we because that's traditional.
Well,
but,
at least you're aware. You're becoming aware of it, and that's the step. That's the first step to stopping it.
Yeah. Well, I used to consciously do that so that when I was arguing with statists, I would generally use the traditional minarchist language just so I didn't have to go in and explain it to them.
I don't think it takes too long to explain, and it does a good job of sort of breaking up what's expected and maybe make people look at something from an alternative perspective of, oh, yeah, that's them. That's not us. You know? We're not doing this. We're not bombing people.
It's true. I mean, the club's doing it.
The government goons, the gang.
Yeah, the government goons on behalf of the club. And
now, what is the club? Is this like the Illuminati or the Bilderbergers?
Well, it's actually from a George Carlin routine. It's a great big club, and you're not in it, and that's the club they beat. And the government is the club that club beats you with.
Sure.
The government is their weapon.
So, in other Donald Trump-related news, peace-related news, I've been impressed. There's a lot to criticize Donald Trump about. I mean, certainly his border patrol nonsense is garbage, protectionism, and we've got our critiques of Trump. We're not a Trump cheering squad here on Free Talk Live. But when he gets something right, I think it's important to point that out, just like we did when Barack Obama got a few things right, like when he let some nonviolent drug prisoners out toward the end of his sentence. And wasn't it Obama that pardoned Chelsea Manning? I think it was. Yeah.
Even on the tariff issue, and I hate to sound like a Trump apologist, but I think he's strategically wrong, but it depends on how you crunch the numbers, because basically he's acknowledged that no tariffs at all are better than bilateral tariffs. He just is unwilling to deal with unilateral tariffs. So he has said to China, the United States will drop its tariffs to zero if you do.
So you're saying he's using bad economics as a negotiating tactic?
Well, I think he's using. Yes, I think he is engaged in a trade war, but I believe that his goal. It's kind of like warring for peace in that his goal is no tariffs at all, but his means to get there is if you do it to us, we're going to do it to you.
It's a dangerous game.
It is a dangerous game, but he's playing it with politicians, and that's all they understand. So then it comes down to how is Trump going to do as a strategist and a negotiator? And I don't know. He seems to have done pretty well with Mexico, pretty badly with China so far, which is unfortunate because China is the much bigger game than Mexico, from my point of view. But, let's see what happens. If Beijing blinks and all the tariffs go to zero within the next 12 months...
You'd have to hand it to him if that happened.
Yeah, I might say that, okay, at the 5 years out mark, we will have made up everything we lost. But that's a great big if because Beijing doesn't like doing the right thing.
Yeah, this is one-upsmanship, gamesmanship. It's dangerous, and you're using people's livelihoods through, taxing them, basically, which is, of course, what tariffs are, where it's the American people who pay those tariffs.
Maybe that's what I'll use as a substitute for we, is instead of, just like I say Beijing, and I mean the Chinese government, I think I'll say DC, and then that I'm talking about the American government.
The DC military, DC dropping bombs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because, the easiest thing in the world to do would not be to secede from the Union, but just for 50 of the entities to kick the 51st out. We could just throw Washington D.C. out.
Absolutely. So one of the other things that he got right was, at least mostly right, I think, was at the very least his beginnings of negotiations with Kim Jong-un.
Well, the fact that he will negotiate with him in good faith and that he has the intelligence. I mean, people were beating on Trump and talking about his love affair with dictators because Trump tweeted some positive things about Kim Jong-un at some point. And it's like, no. Kim Jong-un is an egomaniac. If you want to approach him, the cheapest way to get his attention is say something nice about him publicly.
Exactly. And Trump has, I want to continue on that discussion here in a moment, but I also want to make sure you know about AnyPay. If you are interested in accepting cryptocurrencies at your point of sale in your business, or maybe just personally, making it easy to take crypto like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Zcash, and several others, it's really couldn't be much easier than they made it over at AnyPay. What you do is you go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. You can follow the easy-to-follow steps there, even if you're starting from zero. You've never done anything with cryptocurrency before. They'll help you get a wallet. They'll help you install that, and once that's up and running, you connect that through helpmetakebitcoin.com's app, which is the AnyPay app. And it's super easy to set this thing up. I mean, you can be accepting cryptocurrency within moments from going to helpmetakebitcoin.com. That's helpmetakebitcoin.com. So there's a development in the Kim Jong-un, Donald Trump sort of love story or dance or whatever it is that's
I wouldn't say love story. I think Donald Trump regards him as a foe.
They're writing letters to one another at this point. There's more coming up here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll tell you more about it on the way. This is Free Talk Live.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you'll need a plan and place to survive. Forget bunkers. You're not a live underground gopher. You need survivalist camps, the ultimate fully functional, off-the-grid mobile survival bug-out house that's well-equipped and custom-built to outlast any other RV or trailer. Bold statement? You bet. See them now at survivalistcamps.com. That's survivalistcamps.com. Trust your family's survival to survivalistcamps.com.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Introducing Reveal from GCNlife.com. Beverly Hills dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman invented Reveal, which contains polypeptides with natural botanicals and no parabens, sulfates, silicones, or dyes for a salon-quality hair growth product. Reveal. Here's Dr. Newman.
I have treated a lot of patients who lose their hair and they lose their confidence.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Well, that's some funky beats right there. Those are not our normal music beds, so I'm guessing something might have gone wrong at the network studios. Hopefully, things aren't on fire. Anyway, with you in the studio tonight here, it's Ian.
And nobody.
We're doing Free Talk Live, and that means open phones where you can call in to discuss whatever is on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE. The latest on Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. Apparently they've been having themselves a little letter writing going on between one another. They've been mailing what have been described as personal letters between each other. And we'll tell you more about that coming up here.
Are you insinuating something?
I'm not necessarily, but I think it's actually a positive development, and we'll tell you more about that coming up here. But also, Something else that is positive is the idea of whitening your teeth by using an actually naturally made product like My Magic Mud. It's made out of it's a black tooth powder made of charcoalized coconut shells and bentonite clay. And yet, when you put this black tooth powder and you brush it onto your teeth, it actually is clinically proven to whiten teeth. It's available in most health food stores, including Sprouts, CVS, Natural Grocers, and Walmart's Natural Beauty aisle. But you don't have to go to the store to get your My Magic Mud. You can just go to mymagicmud.com, where you will save 20% off by using code FTL20. That's code FTL20 for 20% off at mymagicmud.com. It's a great product. It's here in the bathroom at the LRN.FM studio. I use it. I actually use the toothpaste version that they have. Their original was just the tooth powder. They still, of course, have that, but they've come out with a few other products since then. They've expanded greatly, and they're doing great work over at mymagicmud.com. Code FTL20, that's mymagicmud.com. As we go back to your calls and thoughts, we can talk more about Trump and North Korea here in moments. But first, Ronnie is in Nashville. Ronnie, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Rich.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I just had a question for you, Ian, and I hope you don't mind me asking. I had two questions.
Okay.
I'll make it quick. The first question is, I've listened intermittently over the years, and to be honest, I haven't listened in a while. It's great to hear you guys again. But whatever happened to that situation where the Fed seized all your computers and stuff? How did that all work out? And what do you think of that? Don't you think that's kind of, obviously I believe you were set up, kind of like what they just recently did to Alex Jones. What all happened
and
with
Julian
that?
Assange.
Nothing has happened. The federal government raided the studios here back in just 2016. It was March, I think, of 2016, so over 3 years ago. They seized over 50 pieces of storage devices and such, so hard drives and flash drives and, you name it, phones, laptops. They seized those things, and it's the last we heard of them, basically, since then. So that's that. No charges.
Have you considered taking action against them legally, like suing them?
No, it's really not worth doing because then you have to pay attorneys to go after them, and then by that time, by the time you're done filing, you've already exceeded the cost of whatever the equipment was that they stole, so it's basically pointless.
Well, the thing that you would gain from that, let me take the devil's advocate side here, or the attorney's advocate side, which is pretty much the same thing. But the thing that you would gain is vindication, okay? Because as long as they've got that stuff, it's still, you're under investigation, and they just haven't found the evidence yet. Although they've had plenty of time to find any evidence that there is, and God knows they're motivated.
Yeah, it's just harassment and intimidation.
But the counter to the idea of vindication, though, Rich, is the damage is already done from the word go. As soon as the raid happens, you might as well be a child pornographer, because most people are just going to see the headlines that such and such's office and home raided, even though the headline has never come that anyone was ever arrested from that, because they took 50-something devices belonging to a variety of different people.
Under the guise of that, but they were really looking for other information.
Well, we don't know what they were doing, but they certainly have plenty of information now as a result of that, because this computer here is not an encrypted machine. We've got people on it all day long, so there's
And the most embarrassing part of that is probably the porn you actually watch, like Latino MILF porn.
That's funny. Thanks for the call, Ronnie. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But no, I don't. To my knowledge, there's no porn on this machine here either way. But the nice thing is that they didn't plant any, or at least they haven't yet.
I give them props for that, having watched them perjure themselves in the past. At least they haven't. You've got a good point there.
It suggests that maybe they don't want us that bad, but then again, why go through all the trouble? It's very strange.
I have a theory as to why they haven't done that, which is they do that kind of thing and then they force you into a plea bargain. But they know that you would demand a jury trial and that you would put up the absolute best fight you could against those charges, and you wouldn't bend over for them. So they don't want to expose themselves by bringing you to trial on trumped up charges. I think it's purely a political decision on their part. They're not above doing that.
Did you hear that? He did mention that Alex Jones had an issue recently with child pornography apparently being found on a server of his. So they actually, in Jones's case, apparently did find child pornography. Now, I don't know.
Although it's just as possible that they planted that.
It's possible anybody could have put it there, right? Like,
absolutely.
Was it necessarily Jones? I mean, presumably they haven't arrested Jones, so that suggests that they don't necessarily think that he was behind it, or that they don't have enough evidence to prove that he was behind it. But it's interesting that happened to him.
Yeah, well, it's also interesting how frequently they find this sort of accusation, especially when it turns out to be unfounded, in the case of a lot of politically prominent people, a lot of people who make noise, which says to me that they're definitely, they have to be not only in some cases trumping up charges, but the other thing is once you become noticeable, the FBI is going to start looking into your background. And I think that's used in order to create a chilling effect on free speech.
Yeah, don't criticize the FBI.
Yeah, and that's the purpose of a lot of these laws too, because the Nixon, for example, when Ehrlichmeyer got out of jail, Ehrlichmeyer basically said the war on marijuana especially was ramped up by Nixon because he hated two groups of people beyond all others, and they were black folks and hippies, and basically he was able through the drug war to go in and kick down our doors and vilify us on the news every night. And he was able to do that because of the war on drugs, and that's why he did it.
So if you want to join the conversation, you're welcome to do so. The toll-free number here is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Donald Trump was in the news recently because he's received a letter from Kim Jong-un. And according to the report at the BBC, Mr. Kim Trump has written a letter to Kim Jong-un. And I believe Kim has written him. Anyway, Kim praised the letter as, quote, excellent, and said he would, quote, seriously contemplate the interesting content, unquote, according to the KCNA state news agency in North Korea. He also praised Trump's, quote, extraordinary courage, unquote.
Now, do we know the content of the letter, or do we only know the content of his comments?
We only have the comments here, but we do know.
I'm really intrigued to figure out what Trump said to him to get that reaction.
Well, because remember, I don't know if you were aware, but they've had two of their summits so far. So the first one was in, I think, April or June or somewhere in this early summer of last year.
Didn't Kim whack a couple of guys after one of those things?
Recently, they claimed that Kim has put some of his agents to death, and then some of them showed up that they were still alive. So it's not really clear what the truth is about that situation.
Oh, wow. I wonder if that was some elaborate face-saving.
Well, so what happened was they had a really great first summit a year ago, and then they had another one during the winter time, I think, this year. Maybe it was the end of last year. But anyway, a few months back, they had another one. And at the second one, things seemed to kind of fall apart a little bit. The summit didn't go for as long as it was expected to go. The parties kind of went their separate ways. So the claim.
So maybe the sacrifice of the aides or the symbolic false sacrifice of the aides was a way to recover from that.
Well, I don't know, but I do know that it's interesting to see Trump sort of reaching out on his own, because the allegations at the time by the North Korean news agency, which of course is the state arm of propaganda, was that the U.S. wanted too much, that their demands were too great, and that Kim basically walked from the negotiation table, was the claim.
Okay.
And so what the truth actually is, we don't know, because nobody was actually there to witness it. These are closed-door negotiations.
Nobody trustworthy would ever have been let in.
Sure, yeah. So, it's interesting that they are continuing a conversation in letter format. We got more on the way. You can join us here on Free Talk Live. Hour 3's next.
Business owners, you want more customers? Accept cryptocurrencies. There's people all around you just waiting to spend money at your store. If only you would take it. I know, you've been waiting till someone else makes it easy. Well, good news. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com adds Bitcoin to your point of sale. Totally free. Use the same equipment you already have, now with Bitcoin. And unlike credit cards, there's no fees. Let the guys at HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com bring new customers to your store. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,409, silver at $15.24, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,812. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, in a decision that voting rights advocates warned would open the floodgates for even more extreme and undemocratic redistricting than what is already in place throughout the nation, the Supreme Court effectively condoned partisan gerrymandering on Thursday by ruling that the practice is beyond its constitutional reach. The Mind Unleashed reports the ruling was 5-4 along party lines, with conservative Chief Justice John Roberts writing the majority opinion. Slate legal journalist Mark Joseph Stern tweeted Thursday that the High Court's ruling is the, quote, nightmare scenario for voting rights advocates, end quote. Frida Levinson, legal director at ACLU of Ohio, said the Supreme Court's ruling will allow the practice of gerrymandering to continue, to flourish, and to evade review by the judicial system, and leaves redistricting in the hands of those who will continue to abuse their awesome power whenever they can to defeat the will of the voters. In a scathing dissent, liberal Justice Alina Kagan accused the High Court's 5 conservative judges of abdicating their constitutional duties, quote, just when the courts across the country, including those below, have coalesced around manageable judicial standards to resolve partisan gerrymandering claims, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Twitter, on Thursday, announced it would suppress President Trump's tweets going into the 2020 election by downranking those which violate their rules via algorithms. Offensive material from the President of the United States will also receive a label that applies to all verified political candidates and government officials with over 100,000 followers. According to the Washington Post, before users can view the language in newly flagged tweets, they will need to click on a screen that says the Twitter rules about abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain available. The Mind Unleashed reports Twitter will deprioritize the labeled tweets so they would be seen by fewer people, which adds that the policy will go into effect immediately and will not apply to other influencers and leaders. It's also not retroactive. A Brazilian Air Force pilot, who was one of the crew members on their way to serve as the advance guard for Brazil President Bolsonaro during the forthcoming G20 summit in Osaka, was arrested during a stopover in Seville en route to Japan, after Spanish customs officers discovered enough cocaine on him to fuel a small Wall Street bank's party for a month, in what has become an international embarrassment for Bolsonaro, who is known as Brazil's Trump and also the country's self-professed law and order president. The Mind Unleashed reports the 38-year-old airman appeared in court Wednesday on charges of drug trafficking after Spanish officials discovered 37 packets of cocaine weighing a total of 39 kilos in baggage. Officers from Spain's Guardia Civil took the crew member into custody, and a police spokesman in Seville said the whole bag was filled with drugs. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Bewildered paralegal Caitlin Levy says that after returning home from work today, it occurred to her that oddly at no point during her day was she harassed, leered at, or made to feel humiliated or physically threatened.
It's weird. Looking back on it, I suddenly realized that not one strange man made a creepy comment at me or an obscene gesture or a sleazy look for like the whole day. How can that be?
The 29-year-old told reporters that even at points in her day when she is traditionally almost certain to be made uncomfortable by at least one or two leering male strangers, not a single such instance occurred.
I actually got to walk from the train to my office and never once catch some weirdo smiling at me or looking me up and down or slowing down his car to yell some shit out the window at me. I felt weirdly safe or something.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of this episode of the program, which, of course, we do every single night of the week, all 7 nights per week, 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time. You can join us. With you here tonight, you've got Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And we've also got, of course, your calls if you want to make them to join us here. You can call in toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we've got the Discord call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm. So, just to bring you up to speed, if you're just tuning in, we were talking about Donald Trump and asking, sort of wondering aloud, is he the most pro-peace? Now, he's not truly pro-peace because he's running the U.S. government, the most warmongering, group of gangsters on the planet. But he seems to have done a few things that at the very least are symbolic gestures.
I would say that he is the most reluctant warmonger since Carter.
And that's a compliment.
It is. Yeah. I mean, Carter, I gotta say, even though he was a Democrat, Carter is like almost my favorite president during my lifetime just because
he didn't start any new wars.
He didn't start wars. He did screw up the thing with Iran, But then again, Iran was a bomb that was left for him by Eisenhower. I would say Eisenhower holds more responsibility for what happened in Iran than certainly Carter ever could.
So, Trump, as you pointed out in the last hour, Rich, just recently aborted mission on a potential bombing raid that could have killed people. And that was a big deal. Choice.
Yeah, it's very interesting. He apparently ordered the strike, and then before the strike was sent out, the strike was because Iran was accused of shooting down a drone. And of course, this is not a $300 drone like we buy at the hobby shop. This is probably a multi-million-dollar device, knowing the U.S. military. So it wasn't trivial, but nonetheless, after ordering the attack and before the attack went out, he went back to his advisors and he said, how many people is this going to kill? And they said about 150. And he said, don't do it. And wow.
Yeah.
That's
shocking.
When's the last time an American president asked how many people is this going to kill and actually cared about the answer?
It's crazy. I mean, it's almost unbelievable that something like that could happen, but apparently it did.
It is. And there's something else that plays into this, which is there's one candidate on the Democratic side who's anti-war, Tulsi Gabbard. Okay? Well, the interesting thing to come out of the Democratic debate last night is she was runaway picked as the crowd's favorite.
Really?
Yeah, she won the post-debate polls. So maybe people are getting hungry for peace. And the thing is, once we stop having the military-industrial complex eating up half our income, we're going to be a much richer country.
Well, I mean, that presumes that even though, let's say that Trump successfully manages to negotiate to where the military isn't in as many countries as it currently is, right? Like the U.S. military is all across the world in hundreds of military bases. I mean, I think I've heard over 700 of them in well over 100 countries, or however many of them they're in a lot. And let's say he's able to kind of, undo a little bit of that, to stop the active occupations of Afghanistan and Iraq and some of the major stuff that's happened in recent years. That doesn't necessarily mean the military-industrial complex is going to just dry up and go away. I mean, that's...
They won't just dry up and go away, but... If we went to a non-interventionist stance,
if the U.S. government,
if the U.S. government, if D.C. went to a non-interventionist stance,
as it was intended by the founding fathers,
always intended. If you read, Washington's farewell speech and Jefferson's farewell speech, they were not politically aligned, but yet they both said the same thing. Peace and brotherhood with all nations, entangling alliances with none.
Which is different than isolationism, which is, of course, what they always accused Ron Paul of when he brought out non-interventionism stances. They would accuse him of being an isolationist, which is not at all the same thing.
An isolationist is, to me, somebody who avoids contact with other countries.
Right, meaning they don't trade.
Right. Yeah. Not somebody who, refrains from randomly going to war with countries. That's really not what the world needs.
Right. So in other sort of peace-ish kind of news, there's news coming out of the North Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, saying that Kim Jong-un has received a personal letter from Donald Trump. Kim Jong-un praised Trump's extraordinary courage, calling the letter excellent, and saying he would, quote, seriously contemplate the interesting content. Spokesperson Sarah Sanders for Trump said a letter was sent by President Trump, and correspondence between the two leaders has been ongoing. She said, earlier this month, Mr. Trump said a, quote, beautiful, unquote, letter had been sent to him by Kim Jong-un. So Trump responded. It was not disclosed when or how Trump's letter to Kim had been delivered. Talks between the U.S. and North Korea did stall at the meeting in Vietnam earlier this year in February between Trump and Kim. The letter is the first major development between the countries since then, says the BBC's Laura Bicker from Seoul. The U.S. has insisted North Korea give up its nuclear program, while Pyongyang has demanded relief on their sanctions that have been placed upon the country by the U.S. government and others However, in recent months, Trump has spoken warmly about Kim. Earlier in the month, he told reporters that North Korea under Kim's leadership had, quote, tremendous potential, unquote. And in May, during a visit to Japan, Trump described Kim as, quote, a very smart guy, and said he expected, quote, a lot of good things to come out of North Korea. And, this is an interesting thing to watch, I have to say. As somebody who has spent a number of years on this show, kind of the best we can paying some level of attention to North Korea. We don't live there, so obviously we don't know what it's really like. All we know is what the people who've escaped from that place say about it and what the state media says about it. I suspect the truth is closer to the people who escaped from that place, but still, unless you're there, you really don't know.
No, and that's one reason I think that Cuba's embargo is so unfortunate.
Yeah.
I would love to go down there and see for myself.
Didn't Trump bring that back?
He did.
That
was unfortunate.
Huge mistake.
And on the one hand, on the first level, it looks good. It's anti-communist, but really, it's not anti-communist. What's anti-communist?
It's anti-human, is what it is.
Yeah. What's anti-communist is to trade with them and let people see what's really going on down there.
Let them make some money
enough to put them off communism.
Right, and let them experience through the trades that they're making with others, through the relationships they're building with others in other places like the United States, let the Cuban people experience what it's like to interact with people who have more wealth at their fingertips and can, talk about how nice it is to have the ability to, buy a new car or a used car, or, one that wasn't made in 1957 or whatever it is they're driving around that island.
Yeah, if you look at the collapse of the Soviet Union, the person who really won the Cold War was Levi Strauss. They wanted blue jeans.
Oh,
they wanted
company.
Decent pants.
Right.
They wanted, all of the things that the Western economy could produce and their economy could not produce.
Exactly. And trade, of course, brings down a lot of barriers between people, misunderstandings as well, because eventually you're going to put stuff aside if you just want to make some money.
Yeah, and if you're doing business with a company that's in Seoul, then the last thing you want is for the government to bomb Seoul.
Seoul,
so I'm saying Seoul, South Korea,
yeah.
But any random city will do.
Right.
I don't even remember the capital of North Korea. I'm embarrassed.
And remember, it's Pyongyang. And remember that there's also talks going between North and South Korea's governments as well to end the war that is still in a stalemate and demilitarized zone and all that, to end that war, the Korean War, after 70 years. I don't know how many years it's been. 60 plus 70 years now since that war. 70.
It must have been. It was before Vietnam.
I think it was in the 50s, if I recall correctly. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. So I think the fact that Trump and Kim are writing letters to one another and saying nice things about each other, I think it's a good sign that the negotiations may come back and we may see some more progress, I hope. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, capitalists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event. Even with coupon code FTL50. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTL50 for a discount.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may dial toll-free here. Bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We also, by the way, are big fans, or at least I am. I can't speak for you, Rich Paul. I love the Edge wallet, as far as it is my favorite wallet that I use when I'm buying things in real life with cryptocurrency. And Edge does a great job. It's great for new users on crypto because it's just a simple username and password to access your account, unlike a lot of wallets which have like 20 words or 24 words that you have to write down in order to back up your account. With Edge Wallet, you just write down the username and password, keep that in a safe place in case something bad happens to your phone. And it makes it super easy for you to access and hold and save and spend and exchange your cryptocurrencies, including some of the biggies like Bitcoin, BTC, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, as well as others like Ripple, Stellar, and more. Get on over to edge.app to learn more about how you can secure your freedom with Edge Wallet. It's available on both iOS and Android. That's Edge Wallet. Do you have an Edge Wallet, Rich?
I do have Edge Wallet installed on my Android phone, and I have it's right now. There's nothing in it. I've installed it and looked at it, but I'm still using Koinomi as my primary wallet. I've got like 10 wallets on my phone.
I like using a lot of different wallets, so I have some idea of which ones are my favorites. And for experienced and new users alike, Edge Wallet is a fantastic choice. Go to edge.app as we continue with your calls and thoughts. Let's go to Rudy in California. Rudy, where are you calling from in California tonight?
Needles.
All right.
Needles, California.
You must be listening to K-Talks. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And earlier you had said that you were talking about how Trump supposedly called back the strike on Iran.
That's the story, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a lie.
Really?
Any operation that someone had to put this thing together, and Yeah, the president gets briefed. He gets told way before he ever commits to pulling off any kind of a strike. Someone's going to give him what their estimation is about who's going to die and what's going to happen. Trump knew all this stuff before he even said, "Let's do it." So him coming on and saying that he decided to pull it back after it was already in the air, when he found out that 150 people were going to get killed, crap.
So you're saying he's making this up to make himself sound better?
Yes.
And,
oh, yes.
Do you have any source on that information, or is that just your masculine intuition?
No, that's how every military operation ever gets started. The president is informed before he ever commits to the operation. There's a whole bunch. There's 20 people in the room or whatever. That all are experts.
Well, isn't it possible that Trump authorized the strike and then moments later deauthorized it? I mean, how much time are we told has been taken?
I mean, this is Donald Trump. He's not his memory isn't always accurate, so I wouldn't be surprised if he double checked the number, even if that wasn't the first time he heard it.
How much time are we? Is the story claiming that elapsed between when he authorized the strike and when he canceled it? Could it have been at the same meeting where he made those choices, or was it supposedly 12 hours later? Do we know? Does anybody? Was that part of the story, Rich, that you recall hearing? Was how much time was between when Trump authorized the strike and then canceled it?
I don't know exactly the timeline that he claimed.
30 minutes. I mean,
so that could have been the span of the entire meeting. That could have been, if it was 20 or 30 minutes, it could have been the beginning of the meeting. He felt like it should happen, and at the end of the meeting, he changed his mind. Isn't that possible?
Yeah, I mean, I'd tell you there have been a lot of business meetings where I've said, hey, this is a good idea, let's do this. And by the end of the meeting, I had been convinced that the idea that I had signed on to was terrible and that we shouldn't do it.
Bro, this operation was talked about for weeks. So it's a big deal, right? Going to attack another country, that's a big deal.
When was the drone shot down, do you know?
Well, there's a couple things about that drone. The Strait of Hormuz is only 20 miles wide. International waters gets 11 miles to every country. The drone was in either Oman or airspace or Iran. We have a history with Iran, right? I mean,
you mean the U.S. government?
Ever since '79.
Mm-hmm.
When
well, it goes back farther than that. It goes back to 1953 when the CIA overthrew the Iranian government.
Exactly. So in '79, when the Shah was dying of cancer, he came to the United States trying to save his sorry ass. That's when the people of Iran said, "This is our chance," and they got their country back, and they became, enemy number one for us.
And meanwhile, the Shah had whipped up a religious revival in what had been a pretty westernized secular country, but by oppressing the Muslims there, he created a religious revival, just like the Romans did when they threw the Christians to the lions. And it was that religious revival which ended up being the backbone of the revolution that removed him. So basically, Eisenhower is the reason that Iran is in the hands of Islamists now.
Well, basically the CIA, which people think the CIA is a separate entity. It's basically the president's personal black op police force. Let me get to one more point.
Sure.
You were talking about the letter with Kim.
Yeah, they're trading letters.
Trump makes us look so pathetic on the world stage. We have these are the world is the world. It's got countries and leaders and.
What is it that's pathetic about actually coming to the table for the first time in North Korean history and actually talking to the dictator?
I think it's all this is a government by stunt. A couple months ago, he said that he went on. He said that Kim had written him a letter, and he actually said he's in love with Kim. This is ridiculous.
He did say that, yeah.
Well, that's a Trumpy kind of thing to say, and you may not like his style, but his got him elected president. Yours didn't get you elected.
Well, okay. Why does he always like the authoritarian, the dictators? The guy in the Philippines, the guy in Turkey.
Well, I mean, he doesn't like them all, right? Like, he hasn't said nice things about Maduro down in Venezuela, so he's just doing whatever is politically convenient, I think, for Trump.
And he always doesn't miss a chance to crap on our allies.
Well, I don't have any allies in the world stage.
I mean, we have leeches. We don't have any allies. We have leeches and victims. That's pretty much what we have.
You mean the U.S. government?
Yes, DC has leeches and victims.
I'm pushing 70. I've been following politics, basically since after World War II, right? And of course we have allies. Matter of fact,
no, I don't have allies. I mean, you say we. I'm not part of the government, so just leave me out of it, okay?
The government's my enemy too.
Yeah. Hey, Rudy, I understand and appreciate your critique. Thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. So basically saying that he doesn't buy that Trump actually changed his mind about the drone strike.
Well, that's certainly possible, but the thing about politics is, even if what you're announcing is a self-serving narrative, the narrative that you release matters. And what he seems to be signaling is that aggression is not the answer, and I agree with him if that's what he's trying to say.
Absolutely, and to anybody that would call it, cowardice or whatever, I think that he's doing the right thing. Anything that's anti-war, that saves innocent lives, he deserves praise for that. Please. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. We're going to continue. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. You can join us on the radio. This is Free Talk Live. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Are you concerned the values that made America great are no longer taught in schools? Well, I am, so I got my son the Tuttle Twins children's book series.
My name is Jack, and I'm 11, and I just finished the Tuttle Twins series. It taught me about liberty, free market economics, and entrepreneurship.
Give all the young people in your life a chance at reason and clear thought, because they're not going to get it at school. There are 9 books in the series, and each one teaches a set of ideas that children aren't getting elsewhere. Go to TuttleTwins.com and use coupon code FTL to get 40% off. That's TuttleTwins.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Hamburglar urges a Senate subcommittee to rubble. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Hamburger advocate and convicted felon Hamburglar denounced a prison system he called rubble as he testified before the Senate subcommittee on penal reform. Hamburglar, convicted in 1998 of breaking and entering a McDonald's hamburger franchise in South Beloit, Wisconsin, and currently serving a sentence of 3 to 5 years, made this impassioned plea before being interrupted by U.S. Senator Bob Smith of Rhode Island.
Certainly there is room for improvement in our prison system, but I would hardly call the current situation rubble.
After delivering his message to the subcommittee, Hamburglar was promptly placed in chains and returned to prison to serve out the remainder of his sentence in solitary confinement. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free and join us here if you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And don't forget, you can join us online anytime at freetalklive.com. By the way, I got an email. I'm way behind on emails because I basically spent most of 2 weeks in the woods, Rich. You and I up at Fork Fest and then the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to get your emails taken care of when you're on a campground. It's just not only because the internet connection isn't that great, but also because you're just having fun talking to people and hanging out. So I'm way behind in emails. But I did notice that I got an email from the folks over at DLive, and they have approved us provisionally for what they call partner status. And so it's not the highest level. It's not like their global partner or whatever, but we're like the second highest or whatever, or the first lowest or however you want to look at it. We're not the lowest level. We're just one step above that now. Although it hasn't been approved yet. They've like provisionally approved it. I still have to jump through a few more hoops, apparently. But I will be jumping through those hoops soon, and hopefully we will be a partner soon with DLive. Which means a few good things for our DLive channel. DLive is one of our video streaming services, so we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, and we're on DLive, and you can go to any one of those three terms, .freetalklive.com or .lrn.fm, so like dlive.lrn.fm will take you right to our DLive channel, and that is where you can follow our channel. In fact, we're trying to get to 1,000 followers. We're over 700 of them right now. So please follow us on that platform. It is a purportedly decentralized platform. And maybe now that we're a partner, maybe we can actually get one of the DLive people on to kind of talk about the platform. I think that might be kind of interesting. Like,
yeah.
Let's hold their feet to the fire a little bit and see, how decentralized is this thing? And are they planning on making it more decentralized in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because how much I really want to invest in that platform depends on the answers to those questions.
Yeah, if it's not really that decentralized and it's just in the name, then it's going to be hard to get excited about it. Mm-hmm. But it's not to say they do a bad job. They do a good job of delivering a nice quality-looking video, and they've got a good platform that seems to work pretty well. So we're there now, and we'll work on getting that partner status taken care of. So go to dlive.lrn.fm and you can follow us there as we continue with your calls and thoughts. Let's talk to Pavel in New York, listening online at freetalklive.com. Go ahead, Pavel.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, good. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, I ran across, I heard about your show a long time ago. Then I recently read the book called Bitcoin Billionaire.
Oh, yeah, very cool.
Yeah, they mention you guys all over and, the people you're associated with. But I was just hoping to see maybe, like, what advice you can give. I live in upstate New York, right outside of Syracuse.
Okay.
And basically, you probably know New York State. The taxes here are so much ridiculous. I think we're paying for, like, New York City's expenses.
New York is one of the most heavily taxed, heavily regulated places in the United States. It is the 50th least free state and it is much less free than even compared to California, which is by no means a free place. But New York scores way lower on the Freedom in the 50 States study than any other state, and it's way lower than even number 49, which is California. So, yeah, you basically live in the least free of all of the 50 states by far.
Yeah.
Like, hands down.
I'm thinking of going back to Russia almost, because
really?
over here, although Russia, the freedom is not as good also, but, not as much taxes. You have free medical services, you have there's no taxes. Whatever you make, you keep, basically. So
that can't be. I mean, how's the Russian government funding their operations?
Well,
if
not
there's no
everything,
taxes?
but for the most part, there's ways around it. Over here,
I mean, do
so
they
much
have
regulation.
property tax? What's the main mechanism? Is there a sales tax in Russia?
They charge tax based on your income. They do look at that. There's an income tax.
So there is an income tax.
It's not like high over here. If you want to own a business, I was just with a guy the other day. 37% he pays
in New York.
To the government.
37% to the state government.
No, to the federal government.
To the federal, because there's also state and city taxes in New York City. There's state taxes and city
plus
taxes.
that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're from New Hampshire. Where I was thinking maybe move to South Carolina or somewhere. But what do you think? Maybe try to Bitcoin's going up yesterday.
Well, I think it depends on how you feel about freedom. So is freedom important to you?
Of course.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself a libertarian?
The more I listen to you guys and read, I think I am.
Well, you might want to consider New Hampshire as a destination. If you go to freestateproject.org, there's a collection of reasons to do that.
There's actually a better site than that, Rich. There's 101reasonsfilm.com, which is the reasons you're talking about.
I thought of that when the word reasons fell out of my mouth.
Yeah, it started as a text list that was on the Free State Project's website, but then it was actually made into a hour-long documentary film, and it's very, very, very interesting, very persuasive, very well-researched. And if you're in a place like New York, you're already getting crappy weather, so you might as well, if you care about freedom, move a few hours to the east, move to New Hampshire, you instantly are in the number 1 or number 2 most free of all the 50 states. So you have a tremendous increase in freedom, and you still got the crappy weather. So it's definitely a step up.
Yeah, and if you're part
of... how is it freedom? Basically, do you not pay taxes like in New York State? Or
not as many, no.
New York State has an incredibly high tax burden. We do have relatively high property taxes here, but we have no sales tax, no income tax, and the government is a lot smaller here. So they
per capita, there aren't as many bureaucrats. There's more productive people here.
Yeah, so basically that means that it's much easier to run a business here, and you can run a business more profitably here.
I would love to come down, especially now. I think it's a beautiful time to come to New Hampshire.
Yeah, absolutely. But, what I'd recommend is checking out the New Hampshire Freedom Festivals next year. We just finished them here this year in the summertime. But anytime you want to, you can come out to New Hampshire. And if you go to the Shire Society forums over at forum.shiresociety.com, you can post there, and then there are people who are already living here, like Rich and I and others, who monitor those forums. And then somebody might say, "Oh, well, we're coming to Keene on September, whatever," and then we can put together a luncheon kind of meetup for people in the area to come out and meet you.
Yeah, I mean, visiting during festivals is great, but you can come out and visit anytime. If there's a libertarian in Keene, then generally we will, announce it, have a lunch for them.
They just went out
so
tonight.
You can meet the guys.
They just went out. We couldn't go because we had to be on the air. It was after they had a dinner where a couple that is actually living in a bus. They went up to the Porcupine Freedom Festival in Fork Fest, and they're actually spending a few nights here in Keene. And so some of the Keeniacs, the Keene area liberty activists, went out and grabbed some Indian food. at the local cryptocurrency accepting Indian restaurant here in downtown Keene. So they do that, and it's pretty regular. So check out forum.shiresociety.com and check out the 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. Pavel, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The website for the movie is 101reasonsfilm.com. It actually turns 5 this year. Later this year, Rich, that movie will have been half a decade old.
Wow. That one came out after Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, right?
2 years after.
Okay, yeah.
So it was the end of 2014 when the 101 Reasons film came out. It's a great movie. It's still relevant. You know, it was well done at the time, and there's probably a few updates that it could have since then, I would imagine, but it's overall a good picture of the community of liberty-minded, libertarian, voluntarists, anarchists, people that care about freedom, activists that we have here in New Hampshire. And it's a population that continues to grow, albeit slowly, over time as more people pick up their lives from places like New York and move here.
Yeah, and I think as tyranny gets worse in the rest of the country, people are going to be moving here faster and faster. They're going to want to escape.
As long as they can get out of where they're coming from. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can bring up what you want in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, which are coming up next.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
If you feel you've been lied to, pressured, or misled into buying your timeshare, you have the right to cancel completely. This is Steve Sanchez, and I'd like to introduce you to Wesley Financial Group, the leading top-rated timeshare cancellation company in the country. That's right, no more excessive fees or lifetime commitments that make you feel like you're serving a prison sentence. Founded by CEO Chuck McDowell, a pioneer in the industry who went into federal court and won against the largest timeshare resort company in the world just to help you get out of your timeshare. Too good to be true? No. Countless testimonials and the highest ratings from the Better Business Bureau make Wesley Financial Group the real deal, and their money-back guarantee they put in writing makes them the Steve Sanchez choice for successfully canceling your timeshare guaranteed. To get their free information kit, call 1-800-475-1919. That's 1-800-475-1919, or visit them at timesharecancellations.com. That's 1-800-475-1919.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and as always, you're invited to join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
You know, nobody, it's been a while since we've done an after show. And
nobody knows.
I know. It's been quite a while. And I think part of the reason is we were gone for a couple of weeks. And
we've been tired. I've been so behind schedule on everything. I still am. I haven't called my dad yet for Father's Day. I still need to.
Oh, man. I thought I was
awful.
Bad. I was a few days late as well. I ended up calling. Every year, it seems like every year I'm at that campground during Father's Day, and every year I always get distracted by whatever things are going on.
I really should get in the habit of calling my dad before I go to Fork Fest and
just
wishing him in advance a happy Father's Day.
Yeah, that would be a different approach, I suppose. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to get back, I think, into doing some of the after shows. Rich, do you want to do one tomorrow night?
I would absolutely like to do one.
All right, so we'll do a Friday night after show after our program, and after our radio program ends tomorrow night. We will continue on live on DLive and Twitch, the two video streaming platforms that we're a part of. I don't know if we'll be a partner on DLive by then, but we'll see how long it takes them to finish up the approval process on us. So check us out over at twitch.lrn.fm and also DLive.lrn.fm. As we go back to your phone calls and thoughts. Oh, and one other thing, I want to say thanks to Gary, who's a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier, which means Gary gives $5 a month to the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, and it's a way for you to back up what we do here. If you value what we do, you value the fact that we give you the archives for free, the webcam for free, all the stuff that a lot of the other talk show hosts out there charge you on their websites for, we do it free. If you like that, then please back up the show by becoming an amplifier like Gary, over at amp.freetalklive.com. It's ampamp.freetalklive.com. You can use PayPal, you can use credit card, or Bitcoin BTC. And you get some cool perks, some benefits for being an amplifier, and we sure do appreciate it. It helps us get on more stations. We're on over 205 stations now, and we can be on more with your help at amp.freetalklive.com. To the phones, to your calls and thoughts. Sam is on the line in New York listening to LRN.FM. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, guys. I'm calling about self-defense stuff.
Okay.
So
do me a favor before you go on, Sam. I'm just going to give you a little sound check here. Just back off your phone by like an inch, and then I think you'll sound a lot better. If you could.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. It was the Bluetooth. So I was calling about I was listening to your podcast from last night, or maybe the night before. I don't know. And you guys were talking a lot about guns. You guys talk a lot about guns and how we need to respect the Second Amendment and all this stuff. And these gun laws are just BS, basically. And I'm totally with that. I get it. My whole thing is just with the self-defense, like other things that can help with self-defense. Like being in New York, you're not allowed to buy like a stun gun. You're not allowed to buy pepper spray a lot of places. Like you can't even buy them online and have them shipped to New York.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that should be like focused on along with the guns and everything.
Oh, I agree totally. Look, the right to bear arms doesn't have to do with just guns. It has to do with anything that can help you even the odds in an attack against you, whether it's an attack against you by a government goon squad or it's an attack against you by a private criminal. having the ability to use a weapon. And obviously, some people are trained to use their bodies as weapons, but that's another matter entirely. But having the ability to grab a thing and have a better chance at surviving the encounter is basically, one of the reasons that amendment exists.
Yeah, I've studied.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I've studied martial arts, and that's one of the great things about that is they can never take that away from you, even in prison.
Yeah, I just think that a lot more focus needs to be put on that alongside the guns, because guns are scary to a lot of people. But carrying around a little stun gun or like a little, like a little thing of pepper spray, it would help out, especially women, a lot. To be able to have something
it's better
like
than
that
nothing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And with pepper spray and a stun gun, a mistake isn't likely going to be deadly. So, I mean, there are some arguments that, in certain circumstances, they may actually be preferable to have those things on hand. But the freedom to have any of those things is super important. While some people may find guns to be scary, that's not the problem of the person who's bearing the gun.
The place where guns become essential also is in combating an out-of-control government. And even if you don't think that the government is out of control now, whereas, I would say they pretty much are, in what's designed to be an eternal republic, there's always the possibility of electing a Hitler. And if you have to fight your own government, nothing but guns will do, because they've got a lot of guns.
Pepper spray is not going to cut it in a situation against multiple attackers like that, especially armed.
Yeah, I agree.
Ones that are in tanks, for instance. So, yeah, Sam, you're living in a place like New York. If you were in Massachusetts,
I know I'm getting this. I know I'm about to get the New Hampshire.
No. We already did that earlier. What I was going to say was there's a difference in the mentality when you're around people who understand guns, when those people are more common through society, which tends to be true in New Hampshire, like even Democrats have guns in New Hampshire. But when those people are, a lot of them, when those people are, raised around guns, then they see guns on a regular basis. They see them being carried not just by police, but by average people around them in restaurants and, in parking lots and wherever. And these are some of the places I've seen guns on people. I've seen, a guy getting out of his car and just sort of arming up, putting his gun in his waistband. And I've seen a guy in a restaurant sort of inadvertently flashing his gun. He didn't intend to do it. It's just I happened to see in his coat when he was getting out of his chair or whatever. I happened to see he was carrying. And so, you see those things around in a place like New Hampshire or some of the other more gun-friendly states, whereas in New York, guns are so suppressed and people are so trained to believe that they're terrible and terrifying, and they certainly are a dangerous tool, but there are plenty of dangerous tools you can cut your hands off with and do all other manner of productive things with. If in the right circumstances you have a gun, you may end up saving your life or the lives of other innocent people. So when people from Massachusetts come up to New Hampshire to go shopping, as many of them are wont to do, and they see somebody carrying a gun, well, a lot of times they freak out.
Yeah.
They're not used to it.
See, for me,
which good for them.
I would love that. I would love to be around people who were, always had guns on them, or whether I could see them or not. Just knowing that people had the ability to open carry or conceal carry, it would put my mind at ease, because I know who to run to and get behind if somebody's coming at me,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that brought me to New Hampshire. I remember watching footage of a 2003 rally where there were a bunch of people, a lot of whom were Free Staters, open carrying and protesting Real ID on the steps of the State House.
I think that was 05. 2003, most of them hadn't moved yet.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It probably was 05.
The vote happened in October, I think, of 2003.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. But anyway, the point was, it was just, to me, as somebody, I was from Michigan, and their open carry was technically legal, but God help you if you did it. They'd shoot you down like a dog, although that has changed now. The open carry revolution is starting to spread.
Sam, I want to say
I'm
thanks.
glad it is.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
call tonight. Hopefully you can get out to New Hampshire to see what the difference is like here, because it is stark between a place like New Hampshire and New York. And all you have to do is talk to some of the migrants, the people who've come from New York and have settled here. We've got a roommate, actually, who's one of those folks, and he was cooking out at Fork Fest and the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and he's got a lot of stories to tell from how bad it was over there. Thanks for the call, Sam. We appreciate it. Let's talk to Kevin, listening in Massachusetts. It's WBNW. Kevin, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, Braintree. I researched that site before. Danielle Santel.
Okay, I told you you're not allowed to call, and you're still not allowed to call. So that's the end of that story. Now, so Rich Paul, it's been a darn good show. How can folks find out more about your Nobody?
Let's see. Right now, we're only on Facebook, so search for Elect Nobody. But we're
still waiting on the government.
Be at electnobody.com.
We're still waiting on the approval. We got a court hearing coming up in probably just under a month. Hopefully, the judge will approve your name change.
Yeah, we can bring the website up before that.
Certainly. I remain optimistic about our chances in this case, even though the hearing's been put off. All right, more coming up tomorrow. Join us online in the meantime at freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,409, silver at $15.24, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,812. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, in a decision that voting rights advocates warned would open the floodgates for even more extreme and undemocratic redistricting than what is already in place throughout the nation, the Supreme Court effectively condoned partisan gerrymandering on Thursday by ruling that the practice is beyond its constitutional reach. The Mind Unleashed reports the ruling was 5-4 along party lines, with conservative Chief Justice John Roberts writing the majority opinion. Slate legal journalist Mark Joseph Stern tweeted Thursday that the High Court's ruling is the, quote, nightmare scenario for voting rights advocates, end quote. Frida Levinson, legal director at ACLU of Ohio, said the Supreme Court's ruling will allow the practice of gerrymandering to continue, to flourish, and to evade review